Can you do it?
Yeah.
You got it?
To Christina Garza.
Good job.
And Jessica Ogo.
That's gonna be fun.
Parents of Chase and Cece, it seems only natural that they should be married.
We want to be seen as a whole, as one unit with our children, and we want to be recognized as these are two people, you know, that are trying to do the same thing that everybody else is really trying to do.
But Jim and Pat Ramseth see things very differently.
I just think that word marriage is ours.
Ours meaning?
Ours are two-gender couples for all and ever. And I don't want that diminished.
And the deeply personal feelings of these two couples have become a hot-button political issue in this election.
Our party has always been the party defending traditional marriage. We need to continue being the party that defends traditional marriage.
At the Republican convention set to start this week, the official party platform will, for the first time, call for a federal constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage. It's endorsed by presidential candidate Mitt Romney.
Marriage is a relationship between one man and one woman.
Democrats who convene the next week will for the first time endorse same-sex marriage in their platform.
At a certain point, I've just concluded that...
And President Barack Obama made history in May when he became the first American president to take this stand.
I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
Homophobia's got to go! Hey, hey!
Yet despite all the talk at the federal level, it's the states that have always set the rules. And that's where the real battle over same-sex marriage is being waged. Here's how the map looks right now. There are just 6 states where same-sex marriage is allowed, plus the District of Columbia. 38 states have an outright ban on same-sex marriage. California is in the midst of a legal battle that could go to the U.S. Supreme Court. In Maine, Maryland, and Washington, the question of whether to allow same-sex marriage goes to voters in November. And nowhere are the arguments more intense than in this Pacific Northwest state. Last winter, the state legislature, dominated by Democrats, enacted a law allowing same-sex marriage.
Well, then we filed a referendum.
But it was blocked before it went into effect, when the opposition moved quickly to get the issue put on the November ballot.
We raised 250,000 signatures, which was the most ever raised on a referendum in the state of Washington, and now we're going to vote on it. We have broken up the state. There are 14 regions. And
Joseph Backholm, chairman of Preserve Marriage Washington, argues that since most marriages produce children, it's optimum for society to allow only a man and a woman to be married.
The statement that it's still desirable as a matter of public policy to encourage situations in which kids will know and be loved by their mother and father is an important statement.
Why can't kids be loved by 2 mothers or 2 fathers and have an equally happy and well-adjusted life? What's your evidence to say they can't?
Well, I just believe that that is true, and I think that the majority of the public agrees with that.
I think that things are evolving. And
Jessica Ogo and Christina Garza don't agree. They recently had a commitment ceremony. It may have looked like a wedding, but Washington state currently recognizes only same-sex civil unions.
Why isn't a civil union good enough? That's what you hear a lot. A civil union should be fine.
Because we are humans just like a man and a woman, you know? I mean, why should we be treated any less than they are?
It seemed like you knew it was like sort of love at first sight.
Monica Corsero, the Methodist minister who counseled them and performed their ceremony, believes that the Bible can be interpreted to approve same-sex marriage.
It's in text after text. We have stories of inclusivity over and over again, not exclusivity.
It's part of what we believe in as the law of nature.
But other religious Americans see it differently, including Jim and Pat Ramseth, Catholics who are working to block same-sex marriage in Washington.
I believe myself that they can be together and love each other, but I don't believe that they should take on the word of marriage. Marriage is something that was a God-given gift to us as man and woman.
This also deals with the issue that we hear in our day about same-sex marriage and why would we have a marriage amendment.
In fact, churches were a big factor in the most recent test of the public will on same-sex marriage.
The Bible says God pointed people constantly, go back and look at creation. God created male and female.
In North Carolina, where just this past May, voters passed a state constitutional amendment that not only blocks same-sex marriage, but also prohibits civil unions. Supporters of the amendment, like Reverend Mark Harris of First Baptist Church in Charlotte, were thrilled.
61+% of the votes, which, to be honest with you, we felt somewhat surprised by that overwhelming support.
Got a little Wedgwood here? Yeah.
But gay North Carolinians like Bob Page, who owns Replacements, a vintage china and silver business,
boys, why don't you come get some juice, please?
And who's raised 2 children with his partner of 22 years, Dale Fredrickson, have not gotten over the vote.
It was very hurtful because our boys were asking, well, why would people want to deny our family rights? And so it made our family feel like that we were less than other families.
In fact, the question of public support can be tricky. The latest national CBS News New York Times poll shows a slight edge for approval. And Washington United for Marriage, which is running the campaign in favor of same-sex marriage in the state, says they're ahead in the polls too. Plus, they've outraised the other side $6 million to just $438,000, with support from a list of major state businesses like Microsoft and Amazon.
Well, we understand that people are conflicted about this. I mean, that's
Still,
really what you
Director
see.
Zach Silk is aware of a hard truth.
The opposition says the polls frequently show that people say, yes, we accept same-sex marriage, but then when they get into the voting booth, they won't vote for it.
Yeah, I think there is some truth to the fact that polling can be misleading on this. On the other hand, we've seen something changing. Popular culture is having conversations about this. The President of the United States has come out in support of it.
We are not going to neglect any part of the state because...
But Joseph Backholm says his side, which seeks to block same-sex marriage, is not worried about losing.
Do you have a plan B?
We don't have a plan B. No, no. There's a you win now. This is a game where you don't make contingency plans when you expect to win.
And think about this. In every state where it's been put to a vote, same-sex marriage has not been allowed. Where it is legal, it's because legislatures or courts have granted gay and lesbian couples the right to marry.